Welcome to It's Beyond Me podcast. I'm your host, Freddie T.
And your co-host, Drift Nasty.
And today we're going to talk about white shaming.
It hits home for me.
I was always brought up with the thought that everybody has some type of prejudice in them, which means everybody can be racist. But up until a few months ago, I found out that me as a black person supposedly cannot be racist, which I believe is a whole bunch of hogwash. But let's debate this situation now.
I mean, the definition of racism is prejudice, discrimination, or antagonism by an individual, community, or institution against a person or people on the basis of their membership in a particular racial or ethnic group. It doesn't say only white people can be racist. It says any race can be racist by that definition.
And I believe that because that's where my whole problem with this new trend in, we're not racist because we're black, or we're not racist because we're just repeating what was done to us. I don't really understand how the woke culture can say that is appropriate. Because honestly, to a lot of people, I look at it and I say, so when the civil rights movement was fighting for everybody's rights
to be equal,
as far as I was told and as far as I grew up learning. Mm-hmm. It was so that our rights would be equal, not so that we could flip the script and say we were superior to another race, because then that defeats the point. I feel like now the whole fight has been perverted, and we're just doing the same thing that was done onto us. And then on top of that, I just never understood why I always hear people say, well, I'm not racist, I'm just prejudiced about certain things.
And the word is in the definition of racism.
I'm sorry, buddy, but prejudice is racism to some degree. So at the end of the day, you are racist, whether you want to admit it or not. Hell, I tell most people, I don't think I can say I'm not racist because I'm African. Because at the end of the day, Africans, we've been racist upon our own people to a certain degree because we've had prejudices between classes, between tribes, between cultures. It's been there through our lives. So at the end of the day, for me to act like, oh no, I do not hold some type of prejudice against something. Everybody holds some type of prejudice, whether they want to admit it or not. It's just some are more extreme than others.
Yeah, and that just comes down to an individual aspect of it all. The white shaming thing has come in of making white people feel like, oh, well, they should be guilty. They should feel guilty and ashamed that they're white. Now, I don't see what the difference in saying that and what they said umpteen years ago about how black people should feel ashamed of their skin. Be ashamed that they're black because they're black. That doesn't make sense to me, how we went from civil rights movement, which was supposed to be us being equal, to pretty much the shoe just going on the other foot, which solves nothing. It's like a baiting war to make black people have this victim mentality, feeling like they're constantly being wronged all the time and that it's only the white person. So then the white people get demonized. And they're the only people that are looked down for what happened with the whole slavery thing to begin with. It goes a lot deeper than what most people try to claim, honestly. It's not just a white people thing. Slavery's been around forever.
I just feel this whole argument goes back to something me and you were debating a few months ago, where honestly, these days everybody's trying to hide the past. Mm-hmm. We no longer learn from the past. We just hide it. We act like it never existed.
That's exactly what's going on with the Confederate statues and all of that.
We got rid of all the Confederate statues because we said it hurt people's feelings. But when we got rid of that, now we're getting rid of slavery in certain history books. I had a friend tell me that his kid was told that slavery was voluntary. I was like, what's so voluntary about slavery? Like, no offense to anybody.
Yeah, it gives them the chance to spin the narrative however. And then if you don't have the lesson to learn from, it can repeat itself.
And honestly, to a lot of people, things are just going in circles because at the end of the day, we're acting like we never experienced half of these things, like these things never happened. And by acting like that, it's just gonna we're not teaching our kids about the mistakes that our ancestors or grandparents or parents or whoever made, so that we build from it. But the problem is that everybody's trying to be PC, everybody's trying to please everybody, everybody's not trying to hurt anybody's feelings, and it's getting to a point that we don't learn because it's like everything we do these days. When I was growing up, we were taught that if you suck at a sport, you're gonna sit on the bench. You might get some playtime at the end, the last 30 seconds, so that we can just say you played. But you're not gonna make the college team. You're gonna make the JV,
It made you want to try harder.
and it made you want to try harder. Now the problem is these days, everybody makes the team. Everybody gets an award. As mediocre as you can be, you will still get an award. You will still get a certificate. You will still be told that, oh, you were great. I went to watch a cousin of mine play football a few years ago, and it was the most infuriating situation I've ever seen. Honestly, and on top of that, I think I was more pissed off because they made me pay to get into the game, and then on top of that, they lost the game, and it wasn't because kids were playing. It was just the fact that I played football and I could see where the problem was, and I was looking at the coach the whole time like, hey, fix your right side, man. What the hell's going on? And it was just the same play over and over. The team just kept on playing the same play over and over, and they kept on getting through their defensive line that same way. And I was looking at them like, come on, man. If this guy doesn't want to do his job, put him on the bench and put somebody who wants to play out there. But the way it is it's always, oh, everybody gets to play. Oh, it doesn't matter. I was so happy. I was looking at them. I was like, they're lucky they're not in Florida where I grew up, because he would have been sitting on the bench. They don't care whose parents he is. He would have sat on the bench and he would have had to warm that bench up for the next injury. Because at the end of the day, that's how we were taught. If you work hard, you get to play. These days, it's not like that. It's like it doesn't matter what you look into, from sports to academia. At the end of the day, everybody just looks at it like, oh, no student left behind. We might not give you a high school diploma, but we'll give you a participation certificate. What in the hell is that?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm all for worrying about people's feelings, but you know what? No offense to anybody. When I was growing up, we were taught that you get bullied. Everybody had a bully. It happens. Some people got bullied worse than others, but you know what? We bounced back. A lot of people look at all these things that happen these days, and they're like, I just don't understand why he would have done something like that. Because your son didn't get bullied enough.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry to say to a lot of people. I look at a lot of people and I say, you know what? It just made us tougher.
Yeah. And that's kind of what's going on too. Now that you bring up bullying, I mean, it's like white people are getting bullied into a situation to where they have to either feel guilty, or if they don't feel guilty, well, then they must be racist. And I think that's what happens when you got all these people who are white who are shaming white people as well,
Mm-hmm.
because they have to prove that they're not racist. You know what I
That's
mean?
that's the whole big fear these days. If somebody disagrees with you, they either racist or they phobic. That's all it comes down to. Those are the two arguments that you hear come out of everybody's mouth. Oh, this person say they don't date this type of person. Oh, then they phobic. Oh my God, they have to be phobic. Or they're not really into dating this particular race. Oh, he's racist.
Oh my god, yeah. Like, do you know how many black women actually say that there shouldn't be black men married to white women? Like, there's women out there who would say that they didn't like our relationship because I'm white. And then I think to myself, like, how is that any different than the old white man who's saying that he doesn't want us to be married? We shouldn't be married because he's black. It's the same thing.
But the funny part about it is, I always laugh when I hear those debates, because I hear black women say, "Oh, they don't like when black men date white women," and then but I don't hear black men saying they don't like when black women date white men. It's like it's a one sided situation. And at the end of the day, when it all comes down to it, I thought we by now in this day and age
We would have got
we would
past
have gotten
that.
past it
It's so
because
petty and insignificant to the things that are going on in the world today that you would think that we, after all of this time, could have got past that little hurdle. And it's amazing. But again, that goes back to what I was saying about how it's like this agenda or whatever to have black people staying in a victim mentality and white people staying in a demonized position because it keeps us frozen in time. How are we going to move forward and actually work together if we're always at each other? And I feel like that's what the point of it is that we stay at each other so that we can't move forward. We're just frozen in time.
it's so funny because an article came a few years ago. It was like maybe 5 years ago. I read this article and it stated that in a few years, in about a century, less than a century, I think it was like a decade, it said that it'll be virtually impossible for a person to be purely one race. The majority of people are going to be mixed, which I thought was a brilliant thing, to be honest with a lot of people, because at this day and age, they shouldn't be a distinguishing factor when it comes down to it, because we're all the same. Whether we want to admit it or not, we're all human beings. We all breathe air. We all hate somewhat the same things. We all like certain foods. And when it all comes down to it, right now it just feels like we're reopening old wounds and starting all over again. Because when I look at it, I'm like, we're arguing race issues that should have been sorted out years ago.
Right.
I mean, the fact that we are over here arguing about white supremacy, about black supremacy, about any type of supremacy in this day, 100 years down the line, makes no sense.
I agree.
And then now, on top of that, people are adding gender situations and all this, and it's like we're losing the point of what life is about. Life is hard enough as it is without us throwing stupid hurdles about
Anything.
Yeah.
Like anything. There's hurdles all the time, and we do it to ourselves. We're allowing ourselves to be manipulated to where we put that playing field down for us. We're just getting played. That's how I feel about it.
But I don't know. I mean, I would love for you guys to get on the comments. Tell us how you guys really feel about this situation. And give us some more topics to talk about. At the end of the day, it's all up to you, and we all have open ears, and my heart is open. I really don't care about the comments. If you don't like what I talk about, that's okay.
Comment that too.
Comment that too.
Be part of the discussion.
Every bit of everything is constructive criticism, so I have no problem with it. But it's been a great day today, and I'm your host, Freddie T.
And your co-host, Drip Nasty. And I just want to say that this whole topic is really beyond me. I don't understand how we're still here. And it just keeps coming up.